Good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for watching UBC TV. It's time for the extra of Good Morning Uganda. My name is Julie F. Nantaba, and this morning we are with the Justice Centers, or the Justice Centers Uganda, and we're looking at a very interesting topic, one that piques every Ugandan's interest, but not just Ugandans, every human's interest, and that is the topic of marriage. Well, you can engage 0709 602 592. Now, from the Justice Centers Uganda, I do have Advocate Chomjisha Esther, who is my immediate neighbor. And immediately after Advocate Chomjisha Esther is Advocate Naula Bridget, who are here to speak into this pertinent conversation. A very good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you. I'll start with you, Advocate Esther. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having us. Like earlier introduced, my name is Chomjisha Esther. I am a lawyer and an advocate with Justice Centers Uganda. Coincidentally, today is my traditional marriage anniversary.
Hey, and you're here to talk about marriage.
And I'm here to talk about marriage.
Right.
So I think it was a coincidence.
Right.
But today I make 4 years. So I thank my husband for honoring me in that way. Like we are going to see the benefits that come with marriage.
Indeed. And Naula, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you so much for having us.
Right.
As earlier introduced, my name is Naula Bridget from Justice Centers Uganda.
Right. Indeed, do engage once again, 0709 602 592. And I think I'll start with Chomjisha Esther, who's my immediate neighbor here, lawyer and advocate from the Justice Centers Uganda. What is the Justice Centers? Are they many? Where are they found? Or is it just one entity?
Okay. Justice Centers Uganda is a project of government that was established over 10 years ago. So Justice Centers Uganda provides free legal aid services to the vulnerable people. Or we can say that people who don't have the resources to hire an advocate. And we know that in Uganda, there are very many people like that. For instance, you will have an issue and you'll have to, consult an advocate or speak to an advocate, and they'll ask you for instruction fees. Just meaning before the work starts, like mode of consultation fees, and it will be over $1 million, and you don't have any money. So that is where we come in. We offer free legal aid services. Our services include mediation, they include court representation. We also go to prison, identify people, and we have a prison decongestion program. So those are part of the services that we offer. But more to that, we also conduct outreaches and sensitizations, and that's why we are here today. We do media campaigns, we do community outreaches, we do prison outreaches, police outreaches. So there is a lot that goes into it. Justice Centers has, I think right now there are maybe 14 centers all around Uganda. In Kampala, we are located at Mengo Court, 2nd floor, and that is where we are coming from. We have a toll-free number, which is 0800 1061. So if you call that number, even right now, someone will pick up and give you legal advice or tell you what, speak more into your issue. Justice Centers Uganda, our other centers are in Mukono, Chegegwa, Yumbe, Mubende, Hoima. We are in various districts, but also where we don't reach, we have a referral pathway. So if you come to us, for instance, and you're in Wakiso and we are unable to help you, we shall refer you to a partner. Yes. Justice Centers gets funding from government. We are hosted and supervised and managed by the judiciary. So we fall under the justice, law and order sector. But also we have donors that help us to facilitate our work. So for instance, there is international development organization that is currently funding this program. Then there are also others like UN Women, DIHR. So that is how we do our work. In case someone is asking, you're working for free, maybe you're not going to work well because there is no money, or you're going to ask for a bribe. No. For us, we are sorted. Our donors pay our salaries, and they help us to facilitate our work. That's why our services are free. So briefly, that's what Justice Centers is.
Right. And from the elaboration she has given, I bet you should or have already done so. And that is to save the toll-free number through which you can access Justice Centers for Uganda. And that is 0800 1061. Save it. You don't know when you need it. We all need the law and services of the law at some point in our lifetimes. Now, let me come to you, Advocate Naula Bridget. What are the types of marriages in Uganda? Because we see many and we don't know which one is legal or illegal. We see customary, church, court. Then, of course, there's what's it called? The marriage when you just start staying together. Anyways, which are the ones recognized by the government and which are not yet recognized by the government?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I go into the types of marriages, I want to define marriage.
Right.
What is marriage? Marriage, this is a union between man and woman. Emphasis on man and woman. Of people above the age of 18 years old, and who agree, who give consent or agree with each other to spend the rest of their lives together.
Well, why did you emphasize on man and woman?
Because according to the laws of Uganda, marriage has to be between a man
And a woman.
So any marriage outside that is not a recognized marriage.
So anything between girl and boy, anything between man and man or woman and woman is not recognized in Uganda.
Is not recognized. Girl and boy below the age of 18, that is not marriage.
Right. So what are these types of marriage that are recognized as man and woman?
Okay, the first one, we shall go with the church marriage. This is celebrated under the different religions. For example, you look at the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Adventists, the Orthodox, all the Christian marriage, all the different types of Christians that we have. That is a church marriage. And then we have the civil marriage. This is celebrated under the courts of law. Like you're going to get your witnesses and go to court, and you're going to be declared as husband and wife. And then we are going to look at the traditional marriage, and this is celebrated according to the different customs. Preferably, they look at the woman's custom. So if I'm a Muganda and I'm marrying, let's say I'm Nyankole man, the marriage has to be celebrated according to my customs as a Muganda woman. Yes, so that is the customary marriage.
Right.
And then another type of marriage that is recognized, we look at the Muhammadan marriage. That is the nikah between our Muslim brothers and sisters. Yeah. And then the other one is the Hindu marriage. That is between our Indian friends. Yeah, that one whereby they say they rotate around the sacred fire 7 times.
Right.
Yes, those are the types of marriages recognized.
Very interesting. Did you know that we also recognize, as Uganda, we recognized Hindu marriages, or you're learning it today? The things we learn, unlearn, and relearn as UBC here to inspire Uganda. That's the goal, where we all learn from each other and take away what is not necessary from your information docket. Now, coming to you, Esther, what are the rights and duties of a spouse? As you've just thanked your husband for the past 4 years, as you celebrate today your traditional marriage anniversary, you've thanked him. That means there are roles as a spouse he has fulfilled. So elaborate to our Ugandan watching. What are the roles of a spouse?
Thank you so much. Like earlier discussed, there are 5 types of marriage that are recognized in Uganda. So anything out of those 5 types of marriage is not recognized. Maybe just to throw a little light on something, especially for church marriages, is that the church or the place of worship where you're going to celebrate your marriage should be licensed, and the minister or the pastor, the reverend, whoever it is that is going to perform the ceremony should also be licensed by the government of Uganda. Otherwise, you will have a marriage certificate, but it will not be recognized as a marriage in Uganda. So as you're planning your functions, ask the church whether it is registered and whether the minister is registered.
Allow me interject there a bit. If the church is registered and the minister to perform this marriage is also licensed, does it mean I can have my wedding at any venue as long as the church under which I'm having my marriage and is giving me the certificate, and of course the pastor themselves are registered? Can I have it in at an outside destination wedding, or must I have it in a church strictly?
Okay, that's a very good question, and it's an upcoming trend. You know, trends keep changing. Now we have destination weddings a lot. People want to get married at the beach, in gardens, and it's really beautiful. So it is acceptable, though you will have to get a special license from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs.
Right.
So you apply for that special license, then that place is licensed for that time, and then you can have your celebration there. However, it's also important to note that it should be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Really, we don't give away people in the dark in Uganda. Yes. So even when you're doing that, that's fine, but make sure that the celebration is between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and you have your witnesses on board, and it will be a valid marriage.
Right. Yes. So let's look at the roles of spouses.
Yes. So the roles of spouses. So marriage has a legal effect. Like my colleague defined it, that it's a union for life. So in a union for life, there are things that will be expected of you, especially things concerning fidelity. In the types of marriage, for instance, we know that the Mohammedan marriage is polygamous in nature, and you can have up to 4 wives. Then customary marriages are also potentially polygamous. But for a church marriage and a civil marriage, you owe your spouse that fidelity. So there shouldn't be adultery. You have to have that. It is a marriage. You exclude everyone else, so it's just the two of you. So, and as we shall later on see, when another person comes in, a third party, another man, another woman, it's a ground for divorce. Yes. Then there are also things that now concern property. You know, 2 are better than 1. So if you're working and I'm working and we are bringing our resources together, we are able to accumulate property. And that property that we get within our marriage is referred to as matrimonial property. There is your property that you had before. It's not considered matrimonial property, but these things that we have worked for together, they are matrimonial property. So when we get married, when you buy land, your husband buys land or your wife buys land, your land title should have both your names because you now own the property together. Then now with marriage comes with children. Yeah, it's something that comes along. How are you going to take care of the children? The children have to be maintained. The children have to go to school.
Right.
The children have to have a safe place to stay. So as spouses, the law in Uganda gives parental responsibility to both the man and the woman. You know, we have a tendency of thinking the man should provide. I think it's from also our traditions, you know, semaka, but parental responsibility is both for the husband and the wife. So both of you have to work together to make sure that the children that you've brought in on this earth are well catered for.
Right.
Yes.
Now, you talked about the children. Let's also look at their in-child custody. What does it mean, especially when people have separated? And something crossed my mind when you talked about, you know, people who are married and they're building, buying things together, or whatever you purchase, obviously it's supposed to be for two, not one.
Yes.
What happens in the case of separation but not divorced?
Okay. So separation, we hope that it never happens, but it's something that happens, and we see it a lot. Separation is where the parties agree to move different ways. There are two types of separation. There is a mutual separation, where the husband and the wife just decide to separate. Then there is also judicial separation, where the courts separate the husband and the wife. But for judicial separation to happen, you must prove that one of the three things happened, one of the grounds, either adultery, cruelty, or desertion. Desertion meaning that the person has been away from the marriage for over 2 years. So now when you separate, everyone goes their own way, but remember, you're not divorced. So number one, you can't remarry. Yes. Then now, even your property, you will still handle it as married people. However, if you want now to separate, you'll now just have to agree. You'll just have to have a mutual agreement. The court cannot come in to distribute your property because you're still married.
Married, yes.
Now, also with separation, if there have been children, there are two issues that come up: custody of the children and maintenance of the children. And I think at Justice Centers Uganda, those are the cases that we handle the most. Yes. The Children's Act talks about the welfare principle, meaning that whatever decision that you're making concerning a child, the best interests of the child have to be considered. So there is, I don't know where it came from, where people say the child is going to make 7 years and the child is going to go with the father. It's just something that's in the public, but it's not legally true. Yes, what the courts look at is the best interest of the child. So who is going to stay with the child? We consider the best interest of the child. For example, if a child is 6 months, if the mother is available and she's, mentally well, and she has to stay with the child because the child still needs that nurturing, tender care, love of a mother. Yes. However, that does not mean that the husband or the father will do nothing. There is something that we call maintenance. How much are you going to contribute towards food? If you're renting, are you renting the premise? Are you contributing to rent? School fees issues, who is paying school fees? Or if you say maybe you've taken the child to an expensive school, I cannot afford, we say no. How much can you afford? 500,000? Okay, get a school of 500,000, let the child go there and you pay the school fees. So at the end of the day, the interests of the child have to be met and taken care of, the best interests of the child.
All right.
Yes.
Very profound at that. We're looking at the conversation on marriage with Justice Centers Uganda. And in studio with me is Advocate Chomjisha Esther, alongside Advocate Naula Bridget, both of them from the Justice Centers Uganda, speaking into this very pertinent issue. Coming over to you, Advocate Naula, let's look at common legal issues when it comes to marriage. Advocate Esther talked about cruelty as one of those reasons that one would point out to the courts of law for matters separation. But let's look at the breadth of common legal issues when it comes to marriage.
Okay. When we are looking at the common legal issues that could rise, just like we talked about estimation 3, mainly, we have the cruelty bit.
Right.
The cruelty comes sometimes in form of how someone is being treated during the marriage. It could be sometimes physical or emotional. Sometimes abuse is not physical. Sometimes it's emotions, how they are treating you. Some people come with issues that when I was pregnant, when I was living with this man, he was treating me a certain way. Like they torture them psychologically to an extent that they can no longer stay in this marriage. And someone is like, if you want me to be alive, I need to leave this marriage. But however, you don't just allege it. There has to be evidence to show that someone has actually been cruel to you. It has caused repercussions, because someone will come with an issue and will be like, even when I was pregnant, it even led to my miscarriage, or I'm no longer functioning, I'm no longer maybe a good parent, it is affecting me, even as a mother, as a wife, I cannot go through this. And it could be an issue, and it could be a ground for divorce. And then we can look at the other one, that is desertion. So you marry this person, 2 years down the road, he leaves you. You know how someone just packs his belongings, or sometimes they leave them in the house and they go, they do not call, they do not text, you reach out, you can't find them, and you're there. But then you're married. So it could be an issue. You can come, it could be a ground for divorce now when you're trying to separate. And you're like, you know, my spouse left for 2 years and above, I don't know where he is, I've tried tracing him, I've reached out to family members to find him, friends, and I have failed to get this person. And then the other one, which is adultery. One of the major things now that people actually base on. But however, adultery is not just alleged, it has to be proved. Maybe there are children, maybe text messages, there has to be an subsisting marriage, or okay, not a marriage, but another relationship aside, that accept this marriage that is there. That is when adultery can be proved. Such instances, or when there is a child outside the marriage, can you prove that this child is for the what? For your spouse. In such cases, sometimes a DNA will be ordered to prove that this is a child to your spouse, to prove some of these issues. So briefly, those are the issues that could rise.
Allow me engage a comment that's coming in from our viewer. Thank you for the program. I have something to understand about marriage and property. In this type of marriage that we meet, fall in love, produce children, and acquire property later, you are dumped there. A man gets married to another woman. How will you advise a woman who's under such circumstances? And I think I'll stay with you, Advocate Naula.
Okay. So I think that is cohabitation, where you've stayed with this person for so many years, but without a legal marriage, you've had children, you've acquired property. Now, the good news is, when you acquire this property and you can prove that you contributed to this property, the good news is, when in case of separation, you can get something according to your level of contribution. For example, when we're buying land, I brought 5 million, you brought 5 million. We wrote it down in writing, and maybe the title has both our names. So when you're separating, we find a way of sharing this property. But now the bad news is, even if you're this man or this woman, you brought your money, you contributed your money, you did a lot of things. But as long as you cannot prove anything, trust me, even if you're to come to us, you know, we get some of these cases most of the time. I've been with this man for 30 years. We've had children, we've bought property, and someone will be like, you know, counsel, I did this job to support this man, to buy maybe the iron sheets, even the land, there was my money. And then you're going to ask her, do you have is your name on the title? And she'll be like, counsel, no, it is only his name. And then you're like, now how am I going to help you? Because now you cannot prove that this land belongs to of you, because
but you see, actually many women are disadvantaged in especially the rural spaces. They do not have the elite expose to such information, and all they know is submit. The man does not, the man, it's the man. How do you help a woman in that caliber? Is there exception to the rule?
No, there is no exception to the rule. That is why, that is the bad news. There is no exception to that.
Get married. In a church or in court, but don't just stay with a man. Let me come to you, Advocate Esther. Let's talk about bride price. This is a very trending conversation. We recently saw the Fountain of Honor talk about disturbed by the bride price people have to pay. Parents are asking for, discouraging the young people from even getting married. Is bride price, first and foremost, legal or illegal? But then, during divorce, is it something that's talked about?
Yes. Bride price has also sparked an interesting conversation in the recent few days. And you know, I know of a colleague, actually. No, she's not a colleague, she's a friend. When she was going to get married, they asked for 100 cows, and the value of each cow is 1 million. So
wow.
You can do the math. Then, you know, now they started fighting, and but anyway, eventually it lowered and they are now married. Bride price, like we said, there are 5 types of marriage in Uganda, and the customary marriage is very so recognized. Actually, I want to, you know, emphasize it because, you know, we get very many clients who come in and you ask them, are you married? And they're like, no, I'm not married. We just did kwanjula, or we just did kuhinjira. But if you did that, kwanjula, kuhinjira, kweranga, whatever you did according to your customs, you're very so married, and you enjoy the same rights as someone who went to church. So, one of the marriages that we have is the customary marriage, and as earlier discussed, it is celebrated according to the customs of the lady. So there is the aspect of bride price in very many cultures in Uganda, and for the marriage to be valid, unless the parents have agreed, but you have to fulfill that step. Church marriage and civil, it's okay. But if you're having a customary marriage and the parents ask for bride price, you will have to pay for it. You can negotiate, you can find a way how to handle the parents. Yeah. But it has to be paid. However, in the recent past, we've also seen people adjusting, saying a woman is not property. And there are very many cases that talk about it. Like whatever you take is just an appreciation, but you cannot put a price to someone and say even the name itself is wrong. Bride price, you're buying someone.
Right.
Yes. However, if you're having that customary marriage, if they ask you for 10 cows, 10 goats, I don't know, gomeses, whatever people ask for, it has to be done in order for the marriage to be valid. Yeah, if it's not fulfilled, the marriage is not recognized. It's not it's not recognized as a marriage.
So therein, ideally, it's the parents who have the should I call it the ticket or the gate, the mantle for you. You are at their mercy whether you want it or not. When they say no, it's impossible. When they say yes without bride price, therein is your opportunity to thank them and appreciate them for raising the woman that now you want to call a wife. Coming to you, Advocate Naula, let's look at domestic violence in itself as a particular issue. Of course, ideally, superficially, we know it's illegal. But let's get, because the law is the law, and it can have details that are rather interesting. So I'd love for you to elaborate more on matters domestic violence. Is it actually legal? And when people are married under the 5 types of marriages, is it okay for one to be beaten because they were married? The bride price was paid. And of course, because they say a woman must submit, what does even submission look like?
Okay. Domestic violence in itself is not legal. No one has a right to beat another person. Because when you look at marriage, you enter into this union willingly and with a lot of promises. So I don't see the reason as why one should wake up and beat another person. But legally, domestic violence is not legal. It's not allowed.
Right.
It could be physical, and sometimes it is economical. Physical is now, this is the actual beating, that a man will beat a woman, a man may beat a woman, or a woman may beat a man. But then now there is also this economic violence that in case maybe this woman has not done anything you want, you'll not leave money for food. You're not going to pay school fees. It is also violence in itself because it's going to torture someone. It's going to make someone go to certain lengths to make this relationship work. So domestic violence is not legal.
And of course, in case anyone files, say for a separation or divorce under the circumstance of domestic violence, they do have a right.
They do have a right.
How do they prove it though?
Cruelty.
You know, you talked about one having to file for whatever case is there,
Yes,
and they must provide proof. But proof that I was beaten is...
Okay, for domestic violence, the first line or the first place that you should report to is police. Yes, because domestic violence, however much it's a civil matter, it's more of a criminal matter. And when you report to police, assessments are done, police forms are filled in. Yes. So there are those police forms that are filled in, and now when you even come to us, like for divorce, we attach those police forms as evidence that you see he was beating or she was beating. You know, these days women beat.
Yes, yes.
Women beat.
Very interesting.
These days women beat, they pour hot water. We have a client who, you know, the woman poured hot oil on him. Ooh. So, yes. So, but again, why would you, I mean, if someone is not making you happy, walk away. Why would you, you know, now start beating and pouring oil and things like that? So the person should report to police. When you go to police, they will do assessments, they fill in those police forms, and they are now attached as evidence on your file. Yes.
You talked about if you're separated by court, for example, you're not allowed to remarry. Then when you're divorced, of course, by court, are you allowed to remarry?
Yes. Now, divorce is the end of the marriage. Yes. There you've said we were together, but we are now not together anymore.
Right.
And the grounds of divorce in Uganda are 3, like earlier discussed: adultery, cruelty, and desertion. Yes. So when you divorce, we also handle now the children, who is having custody, who is paying the maintenance, at what rate, and all that. Matrimonial property, how is it being divided? Who is staying in the home? Who is taking the farm? When everything is separate, you are free to remarry. Yes, the divorce process takes 2 steps. The first step, you have a decree, nice eye. So the court gives you the first decree for 6 months. Then they give you 6 months. What you know, people come back together. You go to court, and now people are in matching chitenji, and you as counsel, you look like the bad one. So the court gives you 6 months.
Right.
Then after the 6 months, they issue you a decree absolute, saying now the marriage has totally
dissolved.
ended.
Yeah.
Then you can now remarry. Yes.
We could even remarry the same person.
People do it these days.
Now, our time is really fast spent, but there are a couple of comments that have come through. We do appreciate you for watching and following the show, and I'll be posing them to you so that you speak into them. Good morning to Justice Center. If a couple was just in a relationship or dating, got a child together and separated, and they are now struggling over custody of the child, how does court handle this? I'll pose it to you, Advocate Naula.
When they have separated, they were not legally married, and they are struggling for custody. Just as earlier discussed, in such instances, we look at the welfare principle. Sometimes it depends how old this child is. If the children are older enough, for example, like 7 and above or so, they can ask them when they can speak. You know, some children will be like, I want to be with my mother, I want to be with my father. But it also depends on how is this parent? Are they good for the child? Can they take care of the child? Are they mentally okay? Are they good to this child? Like, if this child is with them, will they be okay? All that is taken into consideration as the welfare principle. So in such a case, after all this is ascertained, they can maybe say they are giving custody to the mother or father. But in instances where the mother is not fit and proper to have this child, we give custody to the father. And the parent that is not in custody is given visitation rights. So you agree on when this other visiting parent will take the child, or will, so you know, sometimes we agree they either take the child and maybe stay with them for some time, or maybe they will just visit, spend time with them, depending on how good this person is. You know, some people are not like fit and proper to be left with a child like for the whole day. So all that's taken into
Oh my goodness. Very interesting. We do appreciate you for that. Good morning to the panelists. Kindly, all marriage forum groups must start to advocate for contractual type of marriage. This shall mitigate the current wave of violence against partners. When I feel dissatisfied, I move on without facing legal issues at the end of the contract. I submit. This is Waswa Tadeo Zritwaula from Ngoma. My question is, all right, good morning, UBC. This is Amanya Nelson from Buweju District. And my question is, we are 30 children in the family of 2 mothers, whereby our father and first lady passed away. But in different years, then after the second wife got officially wedded with our father before he died. But the good chance is I think every child got their own share before. But what hurts is that the heir is saying that the widow has no rights to remain with her deceased's property, like a little farm where she can rear 3 cows. Is it in order for the heir to be head of others, yet the widow is now suffering because of the heir or the heir to this? I would pose it to you, Advocate Esther.
Okay, thank you so much for the questions and the engagement. Maybe I'll first throw a little light on the first comment of marriage being contractual. Uganda is, it's not really a Christian country, but we follow the common law. And there we have the sanctity of marriage. So our laws try as much as possible to keep the sanctity of marriage. That's why we don't recognize cohabitation in Uganda. And that is why even for divorce, things have to be proven. You can't say we don't have that ground of irreconcilable differences. Yes, so that is the reason we are trying to preserve the sanctity of marriage. Now,
for God and my country.
Yes. Now, speaking into question number 2, that happens a lot. Again, where possible. And I just say this because issues of gender-based violence are still here with us, and we are very far from recovering from them. Where possible, I just pray that every woman gets some sort of marriage, because now in that circumstance you'll find that the widow is not protected,
yes.
And under the law she has nothing. The wife has that portion that she can take, but this other woman who was not married in any sort of way doesn't have any portion. However, heirs, again we also speak to heirs. In Uganda, I don't know, we say it in Uganda, I don't know how we can translate it. Tusikira musai, tusikira bintu. Yes, you are an heir of what you just
your
continue
lineage.
The lineage.
Yes.
It's not that you now have to dictate, do this, do the other. Yes. So I think they should have a family meeting and just agree on some things. Yes.
Right. One final one. It's something really that you've spoken into, but for our viewer to get clarity on their issue. Hello, thank you for the show. If I have done customary marriage and we divorce at some point due to certain reasons, is the dowry refunded? And if I do customary marriage, do I have to do church marriage since customary is a recognized marriage? I'll pose it to you, Naula.
Okay, thank you so much. The first one, that was if she does a customary marriage.
Is dowry refunded? Do I get my money back? My cows, my food, rice, chairs?
No.
Money.
Dowry cannot be
refunded.
It is unconstitutional.
But also for someone who asks for their dowry. please do continue.
When you're to marry someone under the traditional type of marriage,
right.
And for example, maybe they ask you for 50 cows and you took these cows. At that time you are willing.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that now the relationship has fallen apart, I want back my 50 cows.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, they may not even be still in existence at that time.
But you could have said no at that time to the 50 cows.
But either way, you know, marriage is two-way.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot tell me that all this time you've been together, there is something that person has added on to you. But to answer the question, dowry cannot be refunded.
And then they go ahead and say, if I do customary marriage, must I do the church marriage? Because, I mean, customary marriage is recognized marriage. So is it a must to do church marriage?
No. You can, if you do the customary marriage, you can step because it's a recognized type of marriage. But however, we've seen in our country when people do the customary marriage, they go ahead to do the wedding, which is okay. The only difference is that customary is potentially polygamous. But however, when you go ahead and make it maybe a church marriage, it is now monogamous. That means that any woman aside or any man aside from this marriage, another marriage that comes after this subsisting marriage is illegal.
Right.
Yeah,
very profound conversation we've had. I am with two advocates from the Justice Centers Uganda, Chomjisha Esther with Naula Bridget. They've been speaking with us matters marriage, and I thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm also pleased that you've got something, at least from the feedback we've got, you've picked a thing or two, you've been helped in one way or the other. A question that's been lingering has been answered. We do appreciate you for choosing to watch UBC TV this morning. Now, to the advocates that have visited us this morning, I'll start with Advocate Naula. What are your final remarks, your parting shots to this conversation?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank UBC for having us today, for hosting us, for giving us the platform to talk to our people. And the other thing that I could call upon the general public is that if possible, get married, make it official. But however, if, you know, there are some people who are like, I do not like getting married. However, if you're doing anything with your spouse, make sure it is in writing. Make sure it is official. If you're buying land, make sure maybe your name is on the title. If you're buying maybe iron sheets for this house, keep the receipts. Anything you add on to this property, as long as you're not married, make sure you can prove it in case things go south.
By the way, that's a highlight, because you might win love and butterflies and forget. First, put the love and butterflies aside. When you're buying the iron sheets, write your name there. This is, I mean, from the way you pointed it out, it sounds minor. It sounds like, yeah, it's just a purchase. But when things go south, you'll look for that paper, that carry receipt that had your name as you were purchasing those iron sheets, and it will be your savior at some point. So, within the butterflies, have the wisdom as well. Over to you, Advocate Chomjisha Esther. What are your final remarks?
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much, our viewers, for the engagement. Parting shots, marriage is a beautiful thing. I know in recent trends we see people who last marriages 4 months, you know, and things go south, but let us embrace marriage. Yes, let us embrace marriage as much as possible, especially for the ladies. I really pray that, because when you're not married, you're not protected, and it's a very harsh and sad reality, but that is what it is. Yes, and things may not even go bitter between you and your spouse, but now in case he dies, the family will come for everything, and you will not have anything to your name. They will just tell you go. They won't recognize you unless the family is really good. So,
you meant to say when you're not documentally married.
Yes.
If we could put it at that, and you're not just married by cohabiting.
Yes, if you're cohabiting, it's really a very big disadvantage for the ladies, and it really saddens my heart. Someone comes to have been married for 40 years. We have children, and she's being chased out of the property, and there is nothing you can do to help her. Right. Absolutely nothing.
Indeed.
Yes. Also, like Bridget said,
yes,
document everything. We put emphasis on that a lot, and these are sensitizations, so we try to sensitize before anything bad happens. There is a common trend. Men are very wise people. You buy the land, and now instead of saying that the land belongs to the both of us, they make you sign as a witness.
Hey, yes,
or
yes, true.
And someone brings like, yes, I'm on the agreement, but you're just there as a witness. So let us be vigilant, ladies. Let us be vigilant, gentlemen. I know also these days the world is too. Make sure if you're buying something, you are a buyer, not a witness. Yes.
As they say that you ought to be as wise as the serpents, or the babies of a serpent. But the conversation ends here. We do appreciate you for being on the show. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent. Up next, we're heading to the events happening within the committees of Parliament, as we bring you all the information from right there. UBC TV is the station that you are watching, inspiring Uganda. Thank you so much for being on the show and following the program as well. I'll be back tomorrow for Good Morning Uganda. Be blessed for God and my country.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.